Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the Football History Headlines, we discuss Super Bowls 2 and 6 in some great Pro Bowl and All-Star games from long ago, as well as many more Hall of Fame legendary stories and birthdays coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of pigskindispatch.com, and I want to welcome you into the Pig Pen here in Western Pennsylvania, where we will go over the football history headlines and legends of the game on their birthdays for the date of January 14th on this episode of the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch. Let's get right at it, and we'll start off on January 14th, 1940, at Gilmore Stadium in Los Angeles. The second NFL All-Star Game went on as scheduled, as the champion Green Bay Packers would play the best players from the remainder of the league. The All-Stars featured Washington's slinging Sammy Baugh and the Bears' Sid Luckman under center, along with stars like Detroit's Cotton Price, per the ProFootballReference.com. Green Bay under coach Curly Lambeau had the star power of Don Hudson, Clark Hinkle, and Beatty Feathers. Packers show why they were the top team as they defeated the NFL All-Stars 16-7. January 14th, 1946, the NFL draft for the 1946 season had Frank Dantzowitz, the flashy quarterback from the University of Notre Dame, as the first pick by the Boston Yanks. The American Football Database tells us that Frank played for 3 seasons in the NFL, all with Boston. Quarterbacking runs strong in his bloodline because Frank's grandson, Chris Pizzotti, was later the starting signal caller for Harvard's football team. January 14th, 1951, at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the very first NFL Pro Bowl game took place. We had seen in prior years that the NFL used an all-star game to celebrate its top players of the season against a team that had just recently won the title. The NFL broke away from this format to a closer facsimile of what we witness today, except the players from the championship games would also participate in the All-Star Pro Bowl game. The first game itself was a good one too, as the American Conference outlasted the National Conference 28-27 per the ProFootballReference.com website. Cleveland Browns quarterback Otto Graham claimed the Most Valuable Player award for the game. January 14th, 1961, the AFL landed its first ever player they signed away from the NFL. Former Chicago Bears Willard Duvall inks a deal with Houston Oilers, according to the Medium.com story. There were others, like retired former Bear George Blanda, who thought George Halas never gave him a fair shake at quarterback position in Chicago, so after 2 years of retirement, he joined the Oilers in the new AFL. January 14th, 1962, at the LA Coliseum, 12th NFL Pro Bowl was played as the NFL's Western Conference edged out the Eastern Conference by the score of 31-30. The MVPs were the great Jim Brown of the Cleveland Browns and Green Bay's defensive tackle Henry Jordan. Other stars in the contest of the NFL's best players of 1961 included Jim Taylor, who led the league in rushing that season with the Packers, the Giants quarterback Y.A. Tittle, Mike Ditka, the tight end of the Bears, Detroit Lions players Alex Karras, Yale Larry, and Dick Night Train Lane, and so many more legends which can be found on the Pro Football Reference website. January 14th, 1968, Miami's Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. In the day it was played, it was dubbed as the second AFL-NFL World Championship game, but it would later be known as Super Bowl II. The AFL's Oakland Raiders met the NFL's top team, the Green Bay Packers. The Washington Post has a great write-up on the game, and I encourage you to check it out for the details. Bart Starr showed why he was one of the best in the business, as the Packers' defense was phenomenal. Raider signal caller Daryl LaMonica was under siege most of the day, and his pressure forced some crucial errors. One of these was a 60-yard pick six that Green Bay quarterback Herb Adderley had in the fourth quarter to pad an already big Packers lead. The Green Bay Packers played well as a team and upstaged the Oakland Raiders 33-14. The game's MVP was Bart Starr, who was sacked 3 times, but it was managed to throw for 202 yards and a score against a very good Oakland defense. January 14th, 1973, we have our feature story of the day. It was also at the LA Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. Super Bowl VII featured a team on a mission that we spoke about multiple times in this series, the Miami Dolphins. The franchise that stood in the way of gridiron immortality was the Washington Redskins. It was a hard-hitting game, and the Dolphins used running back Larry Zonka to fuel their offense as he pounded out a game-high 112 yards on the ground against a fierce Redskin defense. The game got pretty exciting late in the contest, according to a story on the WashingtonPost.com. The Dolphins held a 14-0 lead with over 2 minutes remaining. Washington forced Miami to attempt a 42-yard field goal to ice the game, but instead the kick was blocked and the loose ball ended up in kicker Gary Yepremian's hands, and he unwisely tried to toss it forward. But after a tip of the pass, Washington's Mike Bass grabbed the errant throw and found the end zone at the 2:07 mark in the final quarter. The Dolphins were forced to punt after a 3-and-out, and Washington was in business at their own 30-yard line with 1:14 remaining and down 7. But the Dolphin defense came in and put an end to the comeback bid as the clock expired with 2 Miami defenders piled on Redskin quarterback Billy Kilmer. The final score was Miami, a 14-7 finish to complete their first and so far the only undefeated championship team in the Super Bowl era. The game's MVP was Miami safety Jake Scott, who had an outstanding game. January 14th, 1990, the AFC Championship game at Denver's Mile High Stadium was a matchup of 2 teams we had seen 3 times in a 4-year period of the late 1980s, the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. The website TaylorBlitzTimes.com has a great detailed article of the game. The Denver Broncos beat the Cleveland Browns 37-21. That same day in 1990, Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the NFC Championship game had the San Francisco 49ers crushing the Los Angeles Rams 30-3 to advance to the Super Bowl per the ProFootballReference.com website. The only 3 touchdowns of the game occurred on the 21 unanswered points in the second quarter, powered by the Niners' Burt Jones, Roger Craig, and a Joe Montana to John Taylor 18-yard scoring connection. January 14th, 1996, at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. The season's AFC Championship game featured the Indianapolis Colts and their gritty quarterback, Jim Harbaugh. Chuck Moody of the United Press International covered the game story as Pittsburgh's Bam Morris plunged in with 1:34 left to put the Steelers up by 4 points late. The game got a little hairy after that, though, as Harbaugh launched a Hail Mary to the end zone that his receiver, Aaron Bailey, had his hands on momentarily until it rolled out and hit the artificial turf of Three Rivers Stadium. The Pittsburgh Steelers hung on to overcome the Indianapolis Colts 20-16 and advanced to the Super Bowl. Here's a few headlines from OnThisDay.com. January 14th, 1996, Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. The NFC Championship game had the Dallas Cowboys outlasting the Green Bay Packers 38-27. January 14th, 2001, Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland. The AFC Championship game had the Baltimore Ravens defeating the Oakland Raiders 16-3. January 14th, 2001 at Giants Stadium in East Rutherford. The NFC Championship game had the New York Giants defeating the Minnesota Vikings 41-0. Now we have one birthday to celebrate on this day, and it took place January 14th, 1908 in Macon, Georgia. The University of Georgia's outstanding end, Vernon Smith, was born. The National Football Foundation's voting group inducted Vernon Smith into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1979. Now, we'd like to thank you, our listeners, for supporting our podcast and listening on a daily basis and visiting our website, pigskindispatch.com. You can find our daily podcast by subscribing on your podcast player of choice or your favorite podcast provider, or you can write us at pigskinddispatch@gmail.com. We'll send you a daily email just to remind you. You can read the articles on the site, and you can look at the podcast then also. Or you can find us on the sportshistorynetwork.com, where our podcast posts every day, and we also have many other great talented podcast providers that are partners at the sportshistorynetwork.com that have some great sports history content and exciting guests that have some really great topics to talk about. So make sure you check that out, sportshistorynetwork.com. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Jean Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so
retro
it was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
placards.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, sports writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandham at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.